Hello there, Peaceful Profits Nation. It is Roz Place here with an exciting client spotlight interview for you today. Today, we're talking to our client, Katie Bell. Katie helps business owners in the health and wellness industry create more time, money, and freedom by teaching them the 4 foundational pillars they need to go from overwhelm to clarity. Welcome, Katie.
Hi, Roz.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to talk with you about your journey. And there's one key experience that you've had that I know is really, really going to help our audience. So, Katie, if you would start by telling our audience about some of the challenges that you were facing in your business in the past.
Yeah, sure. So as you know, I help health and wellness business owners who are overwhelmed, who are exhausted, who are frustrated, who are probably at the point of burnout. And I was kind of reflecting on that when you said that, thinking that was actually me. You know, in this online world that we're in, I run a bricks and mortar business. I'm a physiotherapist by trade, and then I decided to launch my online coaching program just as COVID hit. Probably the best and the worst time at the same, in the same breath. But it threw me into a world where the bricks and mortar marketing, the bricks and mortar finance, strategy. I knew that I'd been running that business successfully. We were making good money. It was doing great. Had lots of challenges, but it was good. And then I moved into the online world because my passion is helping other people. I don't think any health and wellness professionals should go into their business without the support of somebody who's been there, somebody who's done it, somebody who's walked the walk, talked the talk, and can just guide them and direct them and not feel like they're completely alone. It's one of the biggest things that's lacking in our education system when people, train to be a physio or an osteopath or a chiropractor or a massage therapist. They don't get the skills within that training on how to run their own business. They're kind of expected to figure it out. So I came into it, and for the first 2 years, we kind of did quite all right because of COVID. It was a sort of strange time. I launched my a members area with an online curriculum, and then we just hit this kind of stagnation of growth, really. And whoever I spoke to and whatever I kind of reached out to, it didn't really fit. It didn't really feel right. It didn't align with my values. And I got introduced to Peaceful Profits through a connection, actually, through a mindset coach that I have in Canada, which is completely random. And he introduced me to Peaceful Profits, and that's kind of where the journey started, really. So I guess I was that person at the beginning that was almost at the point where you're thinking, is this ever going to work? Is this, it's just I'm not the right person for online. How do I get to learn the skills to move this business forwards? I'm sick of doing discovery call after discovery call after discovery call. Conversion rates are a lot lower when you're doing that level of discovery calls. So I was tired. I was frustrated. I was bored. I was thinking there's got to be a better way around this. I knew I needed to get back end stuff right on my funnel to allow us to grow. I don't want to grow the business with me doing all the fulfillment and me doing all of the everything. So yeah, I kind of feel like I was trying to progress from my own brain, if that makes sense. And my brain was at capacity. I was like, I just don't know what to do next. I was reading the books, I was listening to things online, and it just, I was struggling, I guess. And that's when I got introduced to Peaceful Profits, and that's where the journey kind of started, really.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. And I think that a lot of business owners can really relate to what you say about getting to a point where you're exhausted and you're looking for an answer and nothing quite fits. And it's wonderful that you found that solution. So that's fantastic. And also with your coaching, with your program, the fact that you have an empathy and an understanding of all of the challenges, that's priceless, isn't it? That's fantastic. So what do you think's been the biggest change in your business in recent times since you've begun this process?
To name one would be difficult, but I guess the biggest change is a fundamental, really, which you think going into it and actually realize you don't know at all, is really deciding who it is you work with and what you do for them. And I kind of went into it, I felt like I kind of knew, but it got clearer and clearer as I worked through the program and the stages. You know, actually, I was still being too broad. I was still not being specific enough. And the clearer I got, the more that dictated how my program adapted and changed. So we consolidated it quite a lot. We got rid of quite a lot of stuff. I added things to it. A lot of stuff that I added that I'd learned from the teaching on the program as well, which was amazing. So I guess I started it with a 12 module coaching program. I finished it with a 4 module coaching program. And I totally sort of hashed almost the structure of it, because I became very clear about, if you want to work with us on our entry-level program, or what we call our flywheel method, you are going to get this, 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 and this. And it was having that specificity, which allowed me to then create the content, which allowed me to be better on my discovery calls. It allows me to be clearer in my website, in my ad copy, in my Facebook group that has now, you know, been launched as a result of what we're actually doing and why we're doing it. So I guess, you know, I came into it thinking I was going to write a book, or like I needed to write a book. That's just another thing I needed to do because everybody else is doing it. But actually what I needed to do was get a lot clearer on some fundamentals in the business.
Yeah. So I think what I'm hearing from you there is that specificity of client, target audience, and specificity of outcome, what you were delivering, has been you've discovered. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, something I really noticed, you kind of touched on it a little bit here, but something that I really noticed about your journey was, once you realized how to increase your ability to help more clients in even better ways through your programs without cloning yourself, something changed. Can you tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I guess probably people listening to this podcast will resonate. I'm a high achiever. I am probably a control freak. I am a 10 out of 10, but I think I'm a 7 out of 10, but really I'm not. I'm all about, like, everything's got to be great. I work at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I think I can do everything, and I can do most things. I would like to say I think I can do most things.
Yeah.
But they just got to this level that I was like, this is, you know, if this is my goal, getting really clear on actually what I wanted out of the business, and actually learning that I love group coaching. Absolutely, I'm in my element when I'm in the front of a big group, if it's live or online. I love that uplifting energy. I'm drawing people in. I've got a great knack of remembering names and things about people. But actually I realized I don't like as much the one-to-one element to it. So I'm like, so, you know, why do you have one-to-one elements in the business if you don't like that? Is that something that you still need? Yes, okay, I think it is. That's what makes us different. So therefore I needed coaches. I needed people that could fulfill those aspects of the program, so we're prepared for growth. And I think there's a fantastic book out there called Who Not How by Dan Sullivan, and he talks about, you know, your business growth will be dictated on who you've got around you, not just finding out the hows all the time. So it was, for me, I wanted to know how I was going to write this book, but it was also a case of, like, I need training that I can give to my marketing person and say, can you just do whatever that says there, because that is not my bag and I've got no interest actually in learning about it. But you know, through the really step-by-step guidance, you can do that. You can bring people in who can do elements of your book writing or your content creation or whatever it is. It doesn't always have to be you. And that's a work in progress. You know, I always still think sometimes I could do it twice as fast, but that's just me being me, you know, that's just me being a control freak. So I think realizing and going through the process of how you want to, you know, if you have more people coming in through the front end of your funnel, what Michael's great at doing is really establishing that the back end of your funnel is set up for that, so that you don't then get in a position where you're absolutely wiped out because you're trying to fulfill too many one-to-ones or too many group calls, or you're trying to check too much work, or whatever that is. So it's about trying to bring the key fundamentals in of who you want to work with, what outcomes you're going to deliver for those people, but then how you're going to do it in a way that means you don't have to go and clone yourself or grow 2 heads and 4 arms and just be working all the time. So yeah, I think that's a really important thing that came out of the program as well.
Yeah, I really remember that. And it's also, as you've said, it's looking at how you can scale, and through that discovering sometimes a way of working that you prefer, like you described with like the group coaching. You love it. It's what you yeah.
And I think there's a great stage in the program which is mapping out roadblocks and solving problems creatively. And it's really influential because it makes you think of ways you can solve your clients' problems without it being you at the other end all the time. So the way that they submit work now has changed. The way that they ask questions has changed. So I've got much better boundaries in place. And it's all these small things that ultimately allow your program then to scale. Which when you start, you think you're doing this to write a book. And then you've got all of these other great takeaways along the way.
Exactly. But when you're happy in your business, when you scale and when you work with people in the way that you want to, and you can help more people, everybody benefits. Your clients benefit, you benefit. It's something that is positive for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's fantastic. What do you think has been your biggest win? If you could think of one thing that's your biggest win from this whole process, what would it be?
Biggest win. I think it would be. I think it would be changing the back end of the funnel. I think it would be, if I'd not gone through this process, I probably would still be trying to deliver something that was not set up for scale or growth, and not actually serving my clients in the best possible way. So I think that's probably been my biggest takeaway from it all. And the book is a work in progress, and actually things have all lined themselves up to allow that to happen in a much more streamlined way. And it's funny how that kind of happens, and it's always frustrating because you think you should be doing it quicker, you think you should be doing it in week 1, and you just have to trust the process and follow the process and take what you need from it, because there's so much to learn. And one of the stages talks about setting up a private members Facebook group, and I'm sure lots of people listening to this podcast have got one, but actually the work it takes to set one of those up, to gain traction in those, to get yourself out there, to be continually posting, using Facebook Lives, free workshops, whatever it is that you're going to do, that's the source where people are going to. That in itself takes weeks and weeks and weeks. So you've got to give yourself that time. You've got to be patient with, this is not just let's teach you what to do. This is like an implementation process as well. And implementation takes time in your business.
It really does, implementation. And I think I remember you saying that the Facebook training side of the program was really great to hand over to a member of your team so they could just focus on that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's again something that I thought it needed to be me. It definitely doesn't need to be me. And even now, again, it's always a work in progress to us, but it's now we have, because of the training, we have a welcome email or a welcome message, and my VA just lets people in through these questions that you told us to set up, and she manages that whole onboarding side of things. And then I can just be present in the group as a coach and as the CEO, and not be the person that's looking like I'm being the administrator as well, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's making the best use of your time. So I think there's a lot of stuff you can pass over to the right people.
Definitely. And it's like you were saying to me before we came on today, great things have started to happen. You've got more time, so it means you've got events that you're running. You're going to set up a podcast.
Yeah,
it puts you in a position where you can do the things that you're really great at and that you love.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
And I think that for any business owner who feels like they're spinning loads of plates and who are feeling like you're the only one having to do all elements of the business, but you're doing all the elements only from your own brain and only what you know. And if we if we knew it all already, we'd all be millionaires and we'd all be, on a beach sipping a pina colada or whatever you want to do with your £1 million. But we're not, and that's because this stuff we just don't know. We don't know yet, and that's when you need to go out and reach out to people that do know the stuff.
Definitely. And I think, a lot of business owners will be able to relate to that feeling of, I know I've got something great. People tell me it's great. Everyone that's in this program loves it. So why is it not selling?
Yeah. And it's just, well, it will be a mixture of reasons, but probably because you're spending your time on the wrong things. You're not really 100% sure of who it is that you really want to work with, because you're so afraid of losing other people because you're not making enough sales anyway. So you may as well, in your own head, you think, well, I'll just sell to everybody. And that doesn't work. And you're not super clear on the outcome of what you're going to deliver to those clients. So the client doesn't know why they're going to work with you. And then the how behind how you actually facilitate what you told them the outcomes are going to be is not probably set up in the right way. So there'll be loads of reasons why it feels like it's just hard work. But it also feels like it's hard work often because we're trying to do parts of the business that aren't in our zone of genius.
Yeah.
And the quicker we can offload those, the better.
Definitely. I 100% agree with you. So this is my favorite part of the Spotlight episode. And this is where I'm asking you if you can tell our audience what's the one piece of advice that you would give them to help them to understand how they can move through the process that they're in at the moment of growing their business. What would be your one piece of advice, Katie?
My one piece of advice, I like to just have 10 seconds to think about this because I don't want to just give a random rubbish bit of advice.
I was thinking about it.
My one piece of advice would be, there's stuff that you know that you know, and there's stuff that you know that you don't know. But there's all that stuff out there that you don't even know you don't know yet. And if you're a business owner that's listening to this, like, well, I know I should be doing this, and I know I should be doing that, and I know, but I don't know how to do that, and I don't know how to do this. Just imagine all the stuff out there that you don't know, you don't even know yet. And if you continue to try and create and grow and scale from only things that you know, it's going to be really slow, and it's going to be really painful, and it's going to take a lot of energy and a lot of money and a lot of time. And actually the biggest investment is you recognizing that there are people out there that know an enormous amount of stuff that you don't even know that you don't know yet. And invest in yourself, take the opportunity, take the chance, make sure it aligns with you and your business, and then just go for it and follow the process and throw yourself into it, and reap the rewards.
I'm so glad you took your 10 seconds, and that was incredible. Come up with that in 10 seconds. But I agree, it's like, you know what you know, and you know what you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know, and that's
so much stuff.
Yeah, it's tip of the iceberg, isn't it? Knowing that.
And I tell my own clients this: if I wanted to, I don't know, learn how to play tennis, I would probably go and get a tennis coach, because it would take me forever to watch YouTube and Google like the serve and how I'm meant to be doing it, and then put it in place and how you get that feedback. And so you'd probably go and get a tennis coach. If I wanted to learn how to run a marathon in under 4 hours, I'd probably go and get a running coach. And it's exactly the same. If I want to know how to scale my business, I need to go and find somebody who has done that before. In the right marketplace, in the right whatever, it's got to work for you and your business. But I find it mind-blowing that as business owners we struggle for so long on our own, and we don't need to. We don't need to, because we're too led by fear, and we're not led by what actually all the benefit of having somebody that's done it before can give you. So I would say get out of your own way and go for it.
Oh, that's lovely, Katie. Yeah, absolutely. Get out of your own way and go for it, and
Yeah.
struggle on. You don't need to. That's
No, you
fantastic.
definitely don't.
Thank you so much. It's really wonderful advice. Thank you so much for that, Katie. Now to wrap up this episode, please tell us, where can our listeners find out about you and what you're up to?
Oh, well, we, I guess, two places. You can go on our website, which is www.thrive-businesscoaching.com. There's lots of information on there about our programs, testimonials and success stories from our clients, lots of about our events that are coming up, and we've got a big free resources section, so you can get access to lots of webinars and workshops on there. Or come and join us in our Facebook group, which is Grow Your Clinic or Studio, and find us on Facebook, come into the group. We just ask you to answer three quick questions, so we can grant you access to it. But in there, we've got stacks of great content, great resources. You get to ask the coaches directly questions if you need to. We've just finished a really successful super session series, which is all about how to get more clients in your health and wellness business right now, how you work through the economic changes, particularly in our marketplace right now, what you can do about it. So I'd love to see you in either of those places.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Katie. It's been a real pleasure to connect with you again. And on behalf of the whole Peaceful Profits team, we wish you continued growth and wonderful success.
Oh, thank you, Rose, and thanks for having me today.
You're welcome.